All right. Hello, Tea family. How are you there today? I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend. Please let me know that you're here in the chat or the comments by saying hello and let me know what you have in your cup tonight. I have two cups going on. I have this one with delicious water in it as we have been traveling. And then I have another cup that I'm going to be using a little bit later on. And so I wanted to start this off. This is going to have to do with Christmas today because it is the Sunday before Christmas. So Merry Christmas to all of you that celebrate Christmas. And I'm going to start off with a question for you because we're going to have some trivia tonight. And I do want to give a shout out because I have two handy dandy assistants this week. That's right, two handy dandy assistants. So I want to shout out to them. But did you know that the very first Christmas teas were not cinnamon or peppermint, but were actually a smoky black tea, and they were meant to taste like a winter hearth. So super smoky. I want you to be thinking about like those very smoky oolongs, and we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit. My first handy dandy assistant says he's dehydrated, so that's okay. He could drink water, but we wanted to kind of say that we're bringing that back, and we're going to talk about that because holidays and Christmas, we always think peppermint and we think cinnamon and we think a lot of the other spices, and that's not always what has happened in the past or historical with regard to tea. So grab a warm blanket if it's cold where you are. It is currently 78 degrees in Houston, so I do not need a blanket. But grab your favorite mug or your cup. Let me know what kind of tea you're drinking, and we're going to get a little bit festive. So, okay, first, we're going to talk about holiday tea rituals. And I wanted to start with kind of like a holiday blend because obviously we created it for this time of year in mind. And that is the oolong that we were talking about before. It has a slight smoky note, but not a very smoky. Cranberry, freeze-dried cranberries, orange zest, and vanilla. Some of the really big notes of the season. And it's an incredibly aromatic, beautiful color tea. But I wanted to make sure that this is, if you're only going to have one tea on Christmas, this would be the one that I would recommend. Festive, ho, ho, ho. See, there you go. All right. Did you know, in fact, that in Victorian England, gifting loose leaf tea on Christmas was actually considered more meaningful than jewelry? Tea didn't mean I love you, but it meant I want you to be healthy and live a long, long time. I see Kim is online and she is drinking Dancing Plum tonight. So she's gone with the caffeine-free option. That's another great option. But I wish that original meaning of the tea for you all is that I want you to be healthy and live long. So there you are on that one. All right, and we're going to talk about a couple of different teas. It's easy to see. I know I posted earlier this week about, I asked my family what tea they wanted, which tea they wanted me to bring for Christmas dinner. And then all of a sudden, I had 8 different packets on the floor. And then now I think we're up to like 10 after all the requests are in. Now, tea could be considered a love language in our family based on that. So it's kind of one of those fun things. I see Diane has Irish Sunrise hot tonight. That's always nice. It might be chilly where Diane is. It is definitely not chilly where I am at all. So one of the things that I want to talk about is different teas at different points of the day. And then I am going to warn you, we're going to have some trivia, and there might even be a prize for the winner with the most correct answers, just saying. All right, so when you're thinking of Christmas morning, I'm going to kind of go through what we do. One out of those things is that we would get up pretty early, earlier than we wanted to. Although now that our children are older, we typically have to wake them up to get Christmas started. But we would have to have, the adults would have tea or coffee in the morning. And then we would typically make an orange cranberry loaf bread, quick bread, to have before we started the stockings. And then we would open Christmas stockings. Diane's telling us that it's very windy, so it makes it feel colder. Yes. Better you than me. We went from a very cold temperature, almost freezing in Kansas, to 85 in Dallas yesterday. So my body's kind of like, is it summer? Is it winter? I don't know anymore. If I was going to do that now, I'm going to go with my Serene Sunrise, obviously, that black tea, a little bit of cinnamon to smooth it out. You're going to want a high caffeine tea because you probably didn't get a lot of sleep the night before on a Christmas morning. And that is going to pair incredibly well, or even our holiday tea is going to, with that cranberry orange quick bread. Then after stockings were done in our household, one of our rituals was then we would eat breakfast, and we would have whatever breakfast we had. Sometimes it was pancakes, and that was never the same. It was just, we would have a nice cup of tea. Now that's when I would probably go with more of a Highland Dawn, still in the black tea, still trying to wake up, still want all that extra caffeine, Serene Sunrise, Highland Dawn, something like that. Then typically we would get dressed and then start, and we would open our gifts. At this point, after the gifts, but before Christmas dinner at lunchtime, I would probably move to like an Emerald Garden tea, because Emerald Garden, just a nice green tea blend without the bitter aftertaste. It's going to bring some caffeine, but I don't need as much. And just a nice helpful note. You could also go with Ancient Green Dragon. I know that that's what RJ would want us to go to. And that, again, green tea with vanilla jasmine. And then Christmas dinner, depending on what you're having, I would pair a different tea there. And then towards the afternoon, I'm going to probably pull in like a ruby chai if you were having your desserts, or a sunlit orchard, or kind of start to move towards the caffeine freeze. And then if you love mint, then that's a perfect way to finish the night. So those are kind of how I would drink teas throughout the day. But it's time for trivia questions. Is everybody ready? All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Which country created the tradition of a spiced Christmas tea? Which country created the tradition of a spiced Christmas tea? Was it China, Sri Lanka, Germany, or Great Britain? China, Sri Lanka, Germany, or Great Britain? Which country? For that question. All right, put it in the chat or the comments, everybody. Let me know. I'm going to take a sip of my water really quickly. All right, I'm waiting to see. I know there's a little bit delay between when I ask the question for the trivia and when I receive it. Okay, so I have Diane saying Germany. I have Rich saying Sri Lanka. Katie's saying Sri Lanka. Kim, Betsy, what are our choices? What do you think it was?
Or if you have your own choice.
Or if you have, well, no, because it's one of those four. All right. I'll give you an extra second while you put in your answer, which country, and don't ask Google, try and guess for yourselves. All right. I'm going to give you the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so Betsy says Germany and Kim says Sri Lanka. They got that in right under the wire. I was just about to call it. All right. Well, Diane says hi, Caitlin. Hi. Told you I needed 2 handy dandy assistants today. All right. And the correct answer is Germany. So far, Betsy has 100%. The early Diane had Germany as well. So you had 2 people that had perfect scores so far. Early Christmas markets, they would serve a spiced tea, and before the mulled wine or the blue wine became popular. So there you go. And let's bust a little myth here. Christmas edition of myth busting, can't speak. It's been a long couple of days driving. Christmas teas have often in our culture now been super sweet or artificially flavored. There's a major delay tonight. Okay, good to know, Kim. Thank you. So Christmas teas are typically very sweet or artificially flavored. Obviously, that is not something that we do, but is that tradition? And I'm going to tell you, no. Real spices and real tea create a natural sweetness, and so they don't need those artificial flavors, colors, or anything. That's one of the reasons why ruby chai or serene sunrise work. They already have the spices in them. They don't need anything extra, so you don't have to add in all those syrups or anything like that. You can just enjoy the wonderful flavor of the tea. Good Christmas tea does not have to taste like candy. It just has to taste delicious, and it has to be enjoyable. So there's a little myth busting for you right there. Okay, let's go to I know I've talked before, historically speaking, another thing is that ancient traders used cinnamon, not just as a spice, but they also used it as a holiday gift. They believed it would bring protection and prosperity in the new year. And I love that idea. I love that. That's one of the reasons why, we build the communities around tea. So is everybody ready for a Christmas mocktail? We're going to build one right now. All right, I have a really cool festive cup. Now I want you to imagine, originally I would be doing this in a martini glass, but we forgot to pack one, and it would have been glass that would have just traveled. So we are going to use this really festive. We're going to pretend it's a martini glass. You can use a margarita glass. And then we are going to use, now this is some almond milk based eggnog, but we are going to actually there we go. You could use a regular eggnog. You could use an oat milk eggnog. Whatever you have, they're all going to be delicious. And then I was just talking about ruby chai. I brewed this up earlier and let it cool. And you're just going to want to put equal parts of ruby chai and your eggnog. Now, everybody, can you see that? There you go. You can see that color really well. Hopefully you can. And it just makes a really delicious, and we're going to call this a spicy snowman. And the reason for that is this would be the perfect time. You could sprinkle a little cayenne or even some paprika, especially a smoky paprika would add like a little bit of a spice, but it wouldn't be too much. You can even add a little bit of cinnamon, which is what I'm going to add here to the top. Just going to add a hint more flavor, build it. But really, if I was home and I had the powdered cayenne like I like to use, you could use a chili powder too if you didn't want it quite as spicy. But this is just, see that? Really nice. And then I would dress it out with a nice little cinnamon stick to a swizzle stick that's made from cinnamon. Add that in there, and I will say cheers. Really good. You're gonna the eggnog really pulls a lot of the flavors, and it also balances the spices in the ruby chai. So it's a nice light, and this one is a caffeine-free mocktail. We call this the spicy snowman. He's kind of melted. He got a little hot. And so we're going to call this a spicy snowman. Would you like to try a sip? Okay. It's okay to be honest. It's just a nice, see? There you go. And we all know she'd be completely honest if it wasn't. But that's one of the ones that I want to make. It's really easy. It's fun, and you can do it with the little ones. At the same point in time, it's caffeine free if you're using the ruby chai. So think about it. It kind of drinks like a cinnamon snowman. A little bit of Christmas cheer for you all. A great way to something really nice and light to enjoy. All right, are you ready for your next trivia question, everybody? Okay. I want you to think of a tea ingredient that naturally turns blue, although with an acid it can turn purple. It is often used in winter mocktails. All right?
Germany.
Germany's not going to be the answer to this one. Thank you very much. So we're looking for a tea ingredient that it would normally turn blue, but with an acid could turn purple. Your options are hibiscus, butterfly pea flower, rooibos, or peppermint. All right, I'm going to give you a chance to put your answer in the chat or the comments. I'm going to take another sip. I'm surprised my other handy dandy assistant hasn't stolen this yet. He usually does.
I'm over here.
He's way over there. He's tired.
Convince that couch. Gravity is concentrated.
He's like, I'm not coming off the couch right now. It's all good. So, which one do you think it is? Do you think it's hibiscus, butterfly pea flower, rooibos, or peppermint?
I know these.
You know the answer? I'll bet you do know the answer to this one. All right, everybody, put that in the chat or the comments. That thing that's in your butterfly tea. It is in my butterfly tea. My summer butterfly tea. It is in there. It is in there. All right, Diane says butterfly flower. I think she means butterfly pea flower. That's okay. All right. Kim saying butterfly tea flower. All right. You are all correct. It is actually the butterfly pea flower. That is one of the things. It is really used quite a bit in Christmas teas. Adds a great little batch of color that's a little bit unusual, especially in Christmas and winter teas where you want the blue. All right. Last question. So Diane is 2 for 2. Kim is at 50-50 tonight. Last question.
That's just Germany.
Which tea was traditionally left out for winter spirits in Scandinavian countries? Now it's funny because we would sometimes leave a nice cup of hot tea out for Santa along with a lot of other really nice treats. But traditionally there was a tea that was left out for the winter spirits in Scandinavian folklore. So I'm going to give you 4 options. Black tea, mint tea, herbal berry tea, or no tea at all. And I'm pulling your leg and it was actually porridge. So what do you think it is? Put it in the chat or the comments. Do you think it was black tea, mint tea, herbal berry tea, or no tea at all? It was actually porridge.
White tea. Ghosts are white.
Ghosts are white. No, white tea is not an option here. But thank you for your input. I appreciate that. All right, black tea. All right, Caitlin's saying mint tea over here. Black tea, mint tea, herbal berry tea, or no tea. It was porridge. It's kind of funny on this one because I just created one of these plays. Diane said that I'm pulling your leg. It was no tea at all. Betsy also said the butterfly. Sorry, I was trying to type fast to beat the delay. No worries, Kim. All right, Kim, what do you think it is for the answer to this one in Scandinavian folklore? What did they put out? Black tea, mint tea, herbal berry tea, no tea. It was pear. And I'm pulling your leg and it was porridge. Diane seems to think I'm pulling your leg tonight. I've got Caitlin says it's a mint tea.
Makes it feel cold. Ghosts are cold.
And Kim said, and Betsy say porridge. You are correct. It was actually porridge that they would leave out. They would not leave out tea. They left out porridge. So there you go. Herbal teas did come later as offerings in Scandinavian folklore, but it was traditionally not necessarily left out originally. Originally, it was porridge. Later, it was given as an offering. So there you are. Berry is our second choice. There you go. I just created a custom blend for one of our members of our tea family, and it was a peppermint and berry and vanilla blend. And so it was funny for me to see that herbal berry blend in there because I just created one for someone. So, all right. Great guessing. That means Betsy and Diane have won.
Yay.
you can anticipate a prize coming your way soon. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. I want you to be surprised.
Yeah, December 25th in the morning, we get something.
December 25th in the morning, you'll get something cool. Betsy just high fives you, Diane. Okay. So, I do want to, we're not going to stay very long. I drove today, so I am super tired. We've been taking turns driving. And so next week, I want to remind you, we will be here again. Next week, we'll be talking about New Year's. We'll be talking specifically about appetizers and teas and some tea-based mocktails. We'll also be talking a little bit about Winter's Kiss, which is coming up. We have 2 teas that will be available, 2 of our seasonal teas that will be available. We have Winter's Kiss and we have Starlight Pear. Diane does say back at her, so there you go. It's not porridge, Diane. It's not porridge. I promise you it's not porridge. It is tea related. It is a tea related prize. I do also want to remind you that in January, we're going to do our showdown. And so I'm going to want you and as many people to vote. Now, Kim, I know you can get a lot of people to go online and vote. I would love for you to do that in January as we try and do the battle of the teas to figure out which tea would reign supreme in a showdown. And some other fun things. I've got a couple of surprises planned for next week. But in the meantime, I want to say thanks for joining me. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And if you are traveling, please travel safe because I have personally seen that there's a lot of crazy drivers out there over the last couple of days. So I wish you all the best. I will see you next Sunday, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.